torrid, hot baseball and some hot summer nights here at Camden Yards. We will get back into baseball momentarily, although I think this guy could hold his own in a baseball conversation as well. He is known for his National Football League work at Yahoo as an NFL writer and the Shutdown Corner blog. Longtime NFL chronicler who can be followed on Twitter as well at Eric_@home. He is one of our defending champions and finally releasing, this is like, part of Watergate or Deflategate or something. The 96 Ravens retrospective is coming to a Yahoo page near you, and we're here to promote the damn thing again. By the way, what band is this on the front of your Twitter, Eric at home?
I think, and I've changed it a couple times now. At one point I had Widespread Panic, and then I know I changed it to the band.
Is that the band? Okay, I'm just trying to figure out who it is.
I believe the one that may be up there now, and I can't remember, it might be Pink Floyd. So I've got kind of I like to switch it up every now and then, but that could be David Gilmour when they reunited a few years, 10 years ago.
All right, I see that. I don't recognize this cast of characters. It may be the silver hair, but people say that about my beard, Eric. So I don't know what to say. All right, so dude, look. First off, it's NFL season. Welcome, happy. We haven't had any shootings, anything weird happen here in the last couple of weeks. It's been really like the NFL, other than the transition day and the franchise tag day a couple Fridays ago, it's been really kind of quiet, right? And I guess that's okay. I'm looking forward to football season. But then on Saturday, it's 105 degrees here, bro, right? I'm waiting for the baseball game. It's my anniversary weekend. My mom turns 97 on Tuesday, so I'm going to have some crabs and hanging out. And it's just the low, quiet time of summer. And I'm following you on Twitter, and dude, you're in St. Louis at the Dome with Rams legends, and I'm thinking, is this too soon? What the hell? Please explain to me what happened in St. Louis, because as a guy whose football team left when I was 16 years old, I don't know that would have gone over real well here. That really feels weird watching that, but you saw something. Is it unprecedented that it's ever happened like what the Rams players and fans did on Saturday?
Yeah, and just quick backstory. I graduated from Mizzou and got a job at Sporting News when they were in St. Louis in August of '99.
So you're a St. Louis guy, sort of.
Well,
right?
I lived there for a little while. Yeah, so I was in St. Louis for 3 years at the the
key times, right? Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
The team had just taken off. I mean, Kurt Warner got injured. I mean, Trent Green got hurt, whatever. I saw this team come to life, and it was unlike any team I'd really ever seen at that point, and the city just was on fire. And so I ran into Kurt Warner at the draft this year, and we were kind of doing this historical series, including the 96 Ravens piece, and we were in the midst of planning it at the draft, and I said, hey, Kurt, listen, I want to do something on this 99 Rams team. I want to tack a little differently than other people do. And he said, well, listen, Isaac Bruce is having this flag football game in July. He's bringing back all the guys, Martz is going to be there, Dick Vermeil's going to be there, Torrey Holt, all these guys. You should head down there. You'll get them all and talk. I'm thinking, wow, so they're playing a flag football game on the eve of NFL training camps at the Dome.
I saw the pictures, dude. Orlando Pace was there, Torrey Holt. I mean, it was insane. I mean, it just feels really, really. From the outside, it makes me feel dirty watching it because I feel like St. Louis really got boned. I mean, boned in a way that, I'm from Baltimore, dude. I mean, I'm familiar with this. You know what I mean? We've had plenty of rubber gloves and proctological exams and crab cakes as well, during the years we weren't in the league. But, I mean, I can't believe people came out to support it, but I do, but I don't. But, the Band-Aid's not even the other side of the Band-Aid's not even down yet, I don't think.
I know. One of the more interesting guys I talked to, and I didn't have a quote that kind of fit with the story I was writing, but Sean Landeta. I mean, he's a Baltimore guy. He grew up a Colts fan. Remember, old Giants, Rams, punter. He'd been around for a year.
And as good a guy and as outspoken a guy and as honest a guy as you'd ever want to sit and talk to.
Absolutely. And I thought he had great perspective because think about it. He grew up in Baltimore. Right as his professional career was starting, watched the Colts get ripped out of town. Then he goes to the L.A. Rams. Oh, first of all, before that, he was in the New York Giants, and he played the final game in St. Louis with the Cardinals. So the last game ever to be the St. Louis Cardinals, he saw that game, and he said it was weird. It was a depressing day, you know. Then he goes to the L.A. Rams, kicks there for a couple years, and they get moved back to St. Louis. And he goes and sees this team rise to fame. And now he comes back as the ashes, like you said. We're still kind of burning a little bit. And, I mean, and he said, you know, it's crazy. It's bittersweet because we had such great times.
They're never going to play a football game there again,
they're
right?
Probably never playing a professional football game ever again. And outside, you had people tailgating. There were 10,000-plus people at the game. I was shocked. I didn't know if it was going to be 2,000.
Did they play it at the Dome?
They played on the 100-yard field. I mean, they played on a full field, you know, regular, you know, flag football rules. Warner on one side, Mark Bolger on the other, you know, Vermeil versus Marks. It was hilarious. I honestly, early in the day, it was really cool. I was getting excited. There were trick plays. It was Mike Marks. It was crazy. As we got closer to the fourth quarter, it became a little sad. You know, it was like, wow, these fans are getting a little quiet. They don't know how to send this team up. It was bizarre. I mean, I had a great time.
How many people were there? I mean, when I think, were there guys that weren't on that specific team but played for the Rams and were well thought of?
Yeah, right, exactly. There were guys who played before '99, and there were some who were there.
Did Falk show up?
Did who?
Falk? Marshall Falk?
Marshall Falk was the biggest name who didn't show up.
Okay.
The other guy, you know, like Leonard Little wasn't there and guys like that. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, the big names were there on offense, including offensive linemen and stuff like that. But, yeah, really it was Holt.
Tommy Polly is a Facebook friend of mine. I know he was there.
Went. Yep, he was there.
Yeah, absolutely. Good man, Tommy Polly.
It was 40 players came back for it. And 10,000-plus fans in the Dome. Guys were tailgating outside. Everybody was of two minds. Like, the fans were like, I hate Stan Kroenke, I hate the NFL, but I love this Rams team. That's why I'm here. So they just went out and kind of tried to honor these guys who, let's face it, one of the best Super Bowl teams ever. They don't really have a home. They don't have a home right now.
That was a hell of a team now. I mean, I've seen some teams. That Vikings team that Denny Green had, and you know, R.I.P. to Denny, another guy that I'm sure you came in contact with, one of the great guys who we lost last week, and I'm going to talk to Brian about that next week as well.
Yep.
But you know, those were the teams of that. Other than the Ravens defensive team of 01 goes down as a defensive, you know, marvel to some degree, and maybe Tampa would be involved with that with Dungy as well from that era. But that team was just special. I mean, I've never seen a team just go up and down the field the way they did.
Yeah, and think about it. You know, they started their reign in Week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens.
I was going to say, the Kurt Warner story really begins in earnest with Brian Billick's first ever game there, and DeMarco Farr hitting Scott Mitchell and calling him a water buffalo, the whole deal. Yeah, I remember it well.
And nobody knew who this guy was. I mean, Kurt Warner had thrown 4 passes in his life. You know, I mean, it was like nobody knew. Everybody thought, here we go again. You know, the Tony Banks era was so terrible, and, you know, yes, we traded for Marshall Falk.
Dude, Chris McAllister picked Warner in that game, in the first game he ever played. He picked him at the 40-yard line. He ran to the 50, to the 40, to the 30, to the 20, to the 10, tripped over his own feet, fumbled the ball out of bounds, and we didn't score a point.
I forgot all about that play. I mean, you know.
You're bringing back memories for me now. You know, it kind of breaks my heart that I'm not coming back to St. Louis for a football game because I'm not getting any Ted Drews. I'm not getting any Pappies. I mean, I'm getting cheated at all sorts of things, but I really did marvel. Dude, was it all sad, or was it like as a little bit of a wispy Rams closet fan in your own sort of way, having come of age there? Was it something that you were happy you went to, or did you feel a little dirty?
Yeah, no, it didn't have any of like the stink of, you know, what Kroenke did to that team or any of that. It didn't have. The fans
had that though, right? I mean,
they sure did.
Yeah,
no question about it. The ones I talked to about 10 of them, and they were all saying, "Listen, they're not following the Rams anymore. Most of them that I talked to are done with the Rams." The Rams players said, "Hey, look, I'm a Ram. I'm going to support the LA Rams, blah, 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 all that stuff." You know, early in the day, it was exciting. It was like these fans were, you know, they're doing the bob and weave after a touchdown. You know, Torrey Holt's hamming it up. He's saying, "I'm home," you know, and people are just going nuts. But as it got closer to the fourth quarter of this game, everybody realized, we'll probably never see these guys in this dome again. This dome is probably going to be turned into a convention center at some point. St. Louis could never get the big conventions because there was always Rams football in the fall. That was the one place they could have probably held it. So, this thing's going to turn into a auto show house or something like that. And there probably, as you said, will never be a third NFL franchise that comes to St. Louis. So it was definitely bittersweet for them. Everyone wanted their send-off. They loved that era of Rams team, the crap they rolled out there the last decade. Nobody can name any of those guys. These are the ones who made the memories for those fans. And I thought they felt like they got some kind of a send-off. And Warner told me that too. He said, look, there is no right send-off. We had fun out here. We let it all hang out. We played, and we had a good time. We tried our best to give these guys one last little memory.
Well, I mean, it's very sweet. Kurt Warner's a good guy. And when you mention that team, Torrey Holt, Kurt Warner, Dick Vermeil, Marshall Faulk, I mean, a lot of grown-ups were around that team at that point, right? I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, and you had Dick Vermeil, who was this emotional guy, and he'd been, really hard on these guys and was on the verge of getting fired. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Dick was on he had to win that season or he's not coming back.
Come on, man. He'd been out of the game 20 years for crying out loud, right? I mean,
and nobody knew if he could coach anymore.
Sure.
I mean, it was so weird. And nobody knew who Mike Martz was. Mike Martz was an unknown offensive coordinator. Nobody knew Kurt Warner. Marshall Faulk was seen as something of a prima donna coming over, forcing his way out of Indy. Isaac Bruce, was he at the end of his road? Torrey Holt, was he going to be? Rookie wide receivers didn't just step up and have great seasons in that era, So there were just so many questions about that team heading into that year, and they answered every damn one of it. It was a pretty remarkable season. I was never a fan of the team, but I always admire what they did that year.
Did Ricky Prohl come back and run around?
Oh, yeah.
I knew they loved him there, man. I mean, I was at the championship game that they won when they beat Tampa in that game. I had flown in. That was a hell of a weekend, man. I mean, the St. Louis Blues were playing the Rangers, and Kenny Albert and I ran around that weekend. And Def Leppard was playing in Cape Girardeau with Joan Jett. I had a great time that weekend. But that city went nuts when they won that game. Like 9-7 or 12-9 or some
11-6.
11-6. It was some crazy score.
Oh yeah, and I'm buddies with Sean King, who was the Bucs quarterback that day, and it was one of those games like the Bucs defense was the one group that got in their heads that year. That was the one group that kind of dismantled them a little bit, and yet Prohl, who hadn't scored a touchdown all regular season, catches that little fade pass over his shoulder. I mean, it was
amazing,
it was perfectly strong. Like you said, that was one of the stranger NFL games I've ever been to. The Bert Emanuel rule and all that stuff. It was that was a special day, and there was the day that they had to kind of send them off to the Super Bowl.
Well, it's crazy that 15 years later the franchise is gone, but hell, I'm from Baltimore.
I know.
What do I know? Eric Edholm covers all things NFL for Yahoo Sports. He is their NFL writer. He will be a very, very busy, well-traveled, campy kind of guy the next couple of weeks. You can follow him out on Twitter at Eric_Edholm. That's EDHOLM. And he is working on the quintessential 1996 Baltimore Ravens piece. It is taken. You kind of remind me of Tom Scholes in Boston. It took him a long time to get that second album out. But I got a million music references, bro. I go all night with that.
Yeah.
So this is coming out finally this week. I know we talked about it about 2 months ago. I talked to you about it probably 4 months ago off the air for about an hour and gave you copies of my books and all that stuff. And you are in love with the story of the 96 Baltimore Ravens, aren't you?
Yeah, the most interesting 4-12 team of all time, I think. Yeah, I mean, there's so many elements of it, as you know. There's the whole Cleveland 95 story. Then there's this cobbling together of a coaching staff, half Belichick guys, half Ted Marchibroda guys. There was a desperate Art Modell trying to sell tickets before the new stadium was built. There were these old facilities that, it was this ragtag kind of operation.
Yes, I remember it well.
Oh, my gosh. and to think that they draft
the best days of my life.
But isn't it cool and nostalgic when you look back at those? Like, you think, man, it was such a rough deal back then. But, this team came together, and you think, wow, 4+ years later, they're hoisting Lombardi. And the little seeds, were planted. Jonathan Ogden, Ray Lewis, they had this coaching staff, this great tradition from Cleveland. They brought in better coaches, even more guys later. Marvin Lewis building the defense. It was so fascinating to see those first kernels in what was a pretty disastrous season on the field. I mean,
even funnier is Modell fired the greatest coach of the generation, right?
Unbelievable.
And Belichick, right? Like, Belichick was the first coach of the Ravens, really, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, right. It wasn't until Valentine's Day that he found out that he wasn't going to be the coach. And Don Shula says no. Ted Marchibroda is the backup choice. And, it was constructed in such a weird way. I talked to front office guys, coaches, players, Chuck Cusick, guys who worked for the team, the PR folks. Got a million people on the phone, had a lot of fun with it. The problem is, it's like book length at this point. So my editor's like stabbing me as much as he can over the internet.
Stop! It's the internet. Print the damn thing. Come on, publish. Just hit publish on it, Eric.
Yeah,
I don't want dude.
Writer.
It's the internet. I don't want abridged. I want unabridged. That's the way I feel.
You and I are the same here. We park our cars in the same garage in this regard.
Me and you and Joe Posnanski, we're all curiously long. I mean, what can we say? For the last time we talked till now, did you get literally even more people calling you? But do you ever find Vinny Testaverde or no?
I did not track down Vinny. Ray Lewis was released from his ESPN contract a few days before I reached out to him. So. Yeah, I mean, I had a little bad luck with those two guys, but everybody else has been really accommodating. I've got some great stories about, what was said from Art Modell to Ozzie Newsome on the clock when they were considering Lawrence Phillips or Jonathan Ogden. The crazy story of their plane almost crashing somewhere in Pennsylvania on the way to the Broncos game. It just was, Brian Kinch.
I almost forgot about that. The plane. Nobody wanted to get on the plane. Jeff Blackshear was freaked out, man. I remember.
Jeff Blackshear, Orlando Brown, Mike Frederick. These guys didn't want to get back on the
Zeus
plane.
did not like the plane. Freddie didn't like the plane at all. I remember. Oh. Man, these stories are coming back now. Did you ever find Ed Sutter?
I did. He's here in the Chicago area. He lives down in kind of the Joliet area.
All right, dude. I need Sutter's phone number. I've been trying to get Ed Sutter on the show for 20 years. One of my all-time favorite dudes, Ed Sutter.
Yeah, nice guy. I caught him on a Friday afternoon, so I think he had, probably one foot out the door at the office. So I think for him, it was like, you know what? That was not my best memory of football. I really liked Cleveland, and I had other experiences later or whatever. But for him, I think it was like a little anticlimactic because he was kind of hoping to get out of the craziness of Cleveland and have some winning in Baltimore, but it didn't quite work out that way. So,
well, not early.
Eventually. Exactly right. Not at that phase of So.
Well, I mean, you're writing about a team near and dear to my heart. I cannot wait to read. You can send me the unabridged edition, Eric. I'll take a look at that. So, look, NFL season begins this week. Ravens start on Thursday. Just some thoughts about what's on your mind as camp opens. I mean, there are great questions, great storylines throughout this league. As you've pointed out, there's a fresh team in L.A. for crying out loud. But from the Ravens' perspective, a hell of a rebuilding job in the offseason coming off a rare bad year. And I think, palpable pressure around here on Harbaugh, on Ozzie, on Flacco, on all of these guys, let alone whether Steve Smith and Terrell Suggs, Dennis Pitta, some of these guys can make their way back onto the field after heinous injuries in some cases.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the veteran injuries are obviously where you kind of start, and then you start thinking, okay, can they take advantage of the fact the Steelers have had a couple suspensions? Can they take advantage of the fact that the Bengals seem to be kind of just caught in, third gear, and they can't really get to that next level? Is there, Cleveland's going to be down this year? Is there a way the Ravens can get back in that discussion? Sounds like Joe's healthy. That's the great news, obviously. Steve will have to see, obviously, when he's going to be ready. Suggs, obviously a big question mark at this point, but I did see them add depth this offseason, and people might, depth, but really, I mean, how many times last year did somebody go down and the backup was not nearly adequate enough? It felt like it happened every single week for the Ravens. So just adding, I would say, quality depth, especially on offense. I mean, that was really a big thing, but I mean, a lot of positions where you say, okay, is Trent Richardson the answer? No. But you at least have that possibility there. Then you draft another quality running back in round 4 this year. Kenneth Dixon, I think, is going to be a really nice player in this league. So you bring in a Ben Watson and all this stuff, and it's just like you start thinking they're going to be better prepared for when those injuries do happen, and they will happen. So that's kind of my, my little 30-second take on them. And I just think it's quality coaching and quality scouting. Their organization is as well run as anybody. So I expect a little bit of a bounce back.
Yeah, the Le'Veon Bell thing's big news in Pittsburgh as well. Cincinnati's had a lot of departures since last year. Certainly something to prove there, and coming back, not winning playoff games again, and backup quarterbacks and all the things that they went through. And the Browns are, doormats. So, I guess from a Ravens fan perspective, hope springs eternal here. There's no thought they can't win 11 or 12 games this year.
Yeah, am I going to be predicting them to win 12 games? Probably not. But I've always had a good impression of what this team is capable of. I felt last year was a little bit fluky, and I just felt like the defense obviously, let them down. Is it going to be markedly better on that side of the field? We'll see. Eric Weddle can add a lot to a team. Little subtle changes and guys from within the program taking that next step can help them out a little bit too. You look in the middle rounds, too. Guys like Kafusi, I watched him have put up some tremendous games last year in college, and I think he's kind of one of those under-the-radar players who may end up contributing. And it's, there aren't many better three-man lines than what they've got. So I think they're stout up front. The linebackers can play if they're healthy and they're kept shielded. And then we'll answer those questions about the secondary, and we'll see if those guys are up to the challenge. So, yeah, there should be some optimism. Do I think they're a Super Bowl contender at this point? Not until I see how those injured guys come back, and then we'll start thinking about that kind of thing.
You going camping, Eric? Where are you going, man?
Yep, I'm heading up to Green Bay. Let's see. Boy, tomorrow night, my gosh, it sneaks up on you.
That's
but
cool, right? I've never done the Green Bay thing, but
oh, yeah.
And it's, it's the middle of summer. It's hot as hell. I'm not going to go off to watch guys. I don't like going to Owings Mills. I didn't like going to Westminster. I'm Luke loves being in practice. I enjoy being in practice once a week. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, as a beat writer type of thing, I don't know that I'm ever going to get on a plane in the middle of the summer and go to Green Bay to watch practice, but it seems like a wonderful thing to do if you wear cheese on your head, right?
Yeah, I love the scene up there. I think it's unlike, even though they have it at the facility, it's not like the old school training camp where they go off to, whatever, some other
Apple
college.
River. Yeah, I know.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're staying home, but it has this feel of like people are tailgating at 8 a.m. They have practice at 8:20, and guys are already 3 brats. And
no. So beer and brats are involved in this? Or maybe I got to rethink this a little bit. Maybe I should reconsider this. And maybe I need a Brewers game.
Exactly, right? You can hit a night game that night. Yeah, it's a cool experience. They have the bikes, the players riding back.
I ain't ever been to Green Bay when the weather's been nice.
I tell you what, that's the only time I like going, man. It's nuts in the winter, but yeah, no, it's.
I still have some icicles down below from the last trip, man, and we only go there every 8 years. So
exactly.
So you're doing Green Bay. What else are you doing?
I'm doing 2 days of Green Bay. I'll hit the Bears at one point, probably up in the air, but I may go to Colts camp for one day. And then actually a pretty cool thing, you mentioned the Bengals. I'm going to Cincinnati for 2 days, and Vikings and Bengals. So Zimmer and Lewis.
Oh, they're having a practice, are they?
Little joint practice, 10th and 11th. So, yeah, I'm going to head down there and do a little
Laquan Treadwell. If I were smart, I would have gotten in on that action. You know what I mean? But, what the hell do I need 2 extra days in Cincinnati in the middle of summer for? I did 30 baseball parks in 30 days last year. I'm waiting for, the real season, And the other thing that sucks this time of year, and you know this to be true because you're as close to it as I am, you get your calendar out and you see the preseason games, right? The tickets come. I pay for the tickets. I'm that sucker. I got a poor sucker's license, PSL. So, tickets come and you're like, oh, man, look, man, the Ravens open like it's August 11th. Honey, we got Carolina's coming in. Like Cam Newton's coming in. It's August 11th. We got to be, we got to do that,
Right.
And then, you get there and then you're like, oh, yeah, it's the preseason again and this sucks, and it sucks worse because it's the 21st year it sucked, and I know but you kind of get duped into it. There's nothing in the world worse than preseason football, but we still look forward to it just for some perversity.
Exactly, right. I'll go to Broncos, Bears. This is the first game here in Chicago because, we don't know who the hell the Broncos quarterback is. the beauty of it, from my perspective, I can bang out my story and be done with it at halftime and just, put a few quotes in from after the game and bingo boingo. There we go.
And you go get a pizza afterward. Right, Chicago. It's summertime. You go for a walk. Millennial Park. Maybe somebody good's playing under the shell out there. Something like that. Yeah, all right.
But fourth quarter preseason football, I mean, it doesn't get much lower than that.
Dude, I'm coming in to your fair city, the Windy City, the second city, my kind of town. I'm coming in on the 20th, and I'm doing Pearl Jam and Wrigley on Saturday, right? Yep. I'm doing Wilco on Sunday at the Shell, and I'm doing Pearl Jam on Monday, and then I'm probably going to go up to New York and see Springsteen on Tuesday too. But so that weekend, I'm coming to Chicago. I don't even look to see if the Bears are playing the Cowboys in a preseason. I just wouldn't even consider doing that. You know what I mean? That sounds mean of me, but it's really it's the NFL's problem. It really is.
It is. They'll figure it out at some point. I mean, 4 preseason games, don't need it. I don't care what anybody says. You don't need it. You do not need it. There's no
especially the fourth one, man. I mean, come on. Who are we teasing here?
The fourth one's just awful. I mean, there's literally no – you're talking about, it's a couple guys are fighting for jobs. I'm sorry. What can you possibly do against other third stringers to convince your head coach to keep you? I don't see the need. I think it's just working out the kinks. Coaches, okay, we're a new staff. Let's get our communication down, all that stuff. Let's run these guys out there. To me, if you're making the team, you're probably not playing in that game very much. So, that's some bad stuff right there.
I got bad mojo on August 27th, Eric. I got Lions at Ravens. Oh, that sounds great. Matt Stafford. It's the third preseason, the always important third. And there's all that. And, Buffett's playing in Camden that night up in New Jersey.
Okay.
I'm going to be at the Ravens game, but I'm going to be thinking about that one particular harbor, and I think you know what I'm talking about. So,
sure, yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I've had to make those calls before because they bring the Lollapalooza thing here, and then when I was a little bit younger, it's been about 10 years now. It would always be right around that first preseason game or maybe like the start of training camp sometimes. So I'd always have to sit there and be like, which days can I go? What band? Oh, Radiohead's playing Saturday? Okay, I'm going to skip that Bears preseason game and do that. So
tell me you didn't skip Radiohead, dude. You got to do Radiohead. I mean, they're playing the Garden this week. You got to do Radiohead.
Oh, yeah. Anytime those kind of decisions come. But now, man, I mean, I've got 60-month-old twins. I'm not even in the business of making those decisions anymore. That was the 10 years ago cooler version of
you now have YouTube and Pandora. It's okay. It's all going to work out. and your CD collection, probably, yeah. Eric, always great having you on, man. When does the piece come out, the 96 Ravens piece?
I believe it'll be either Wednesday or Thursday, probably the day they report.
I'm going to retweet it because I'm going to read it, and it's going to take me a day and a half to read it probably. So, but I am looking forward to it, man. I mean, congratulations on the hard work. And
Thank you.
I can just tell from the stories it's going to be something that I think all Baltimore fans are going to enjoy. So I'm going to be pimping you all week and saying that you were there with St. Louis the other day, which is still an incredible story unto itself. And we'll send everybody out to follow you at Yahoo Sports as well as at Eric_EDHOLM. He is Eric Edholm out in the Windy City of Chicago covering the National Football League as well as anyone. Hey, dude, get 2 brats and 2 beers up in Green Bay for me, okay? Get some cheese while you're at it, all right?
I will. I'm going to hook myself up. I appreciate it, man.
Chris Pica sends his love from Atlanta as well. He wanted me to tell you that.
Very cool. I like that, dude. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Be good, Eric.
All right, see you, man.
Big retro on 20-year anniversary of the 96 Baltimore Ravens. Eric Edholm is writing about that later this week for Yahoo. We talked about it about a month and a half ago. Story got kind of held up, kind of lengthened, abridged, unabridged. I don't know, but it's coming out this week, so go check it out. Eric's a great guy. Great having him on, and also a rock and roll spirit, which helps my programming. When I get guys like Maury Brown, I get guys who can talk a little rock and roll. It helps my mojo. It just makes the show better for me. Maybe it doesn't for you, but I like it a whole lot better. You can find me out in the Buy a Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere you are. And our morning newspaper, it's your email inbox at 7 a.m. each and every morning. That's powered up by our friends at Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. Still $10 a month to get in shape there. Last but never least, breaking news happens first right here on your mobile device. It is the WNST Tech Service. Orioles, Ravens, Ravens, Terps. Hopefully there's no bad news from Ravens camp, but I cannot guarantee such a thing. If it happens, you get it first. That's my only promise. I can't promise good news or bad news, but it's all sponsored by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard, and Dennis will be here on Thursday driving you home from 3 until 5. It is summertime. The first place Baltimore Orioles home for a little bit. You can find me, Nasty, at WNST.net, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram. Anywhere you are, we are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.